Thank you so much, Shashank sir, for joining us on a podcast at Dawdle. Extremely grateful that you have taken out time to share your insights, your 3 decades of experience with our global audience. We have got a bunch of very interesting topics to discuss with you. But before we go there, sir, it would be great if you could give us a brief context of your journey so far, your experiences so far, so that our audience has got a context.
First of all, Rishikesh, thank you so much for inviting me and allowing me to be part of your journey. And such a wonderful thing that you are trying to do is trying to build up a platform or a community where like-minded people can interact, and also young working professionals can learn. They can get insights from us. We got some good experience, good exposure, so it's a commendable thing that you're trying to do. Yes, I completed 32 years of my regular services in pure IT sector in India and many other countries. So when I started my career in 1991, it was very new. The IT was very new in India. And I started with a very small company in Mumbai. It was just one room office. And we were doing software development for some film studios in Mumbai and those kind of applications we were developing. At the same time, we were also providing training on some of the new technologies, because at that point of time, even DBMS was something very big.
Yes.
Okay. So I started with that, and initially I was purely into technical role. I was a Unix system administrator and I was a database administrator. I had expertise in database management and RDBMS and all. And then I started from Mumbai, my career in September 1991. First few years I was in Mumbai, then from there I moved to Gujarat. Basically, it was an MNC. They had office in Mumbai, their corporate office in Mumbai, but they had a production unit. It was a multinational chemical company. It had a production unit in Gujarat. So I was heading the systems department of that company. So there, of course, I was involved in, apart from development, me and my team, basically, we were managing the EDP department. At that time, it was just EDP. It was called EDP because it was just data processing. So for 2 years, I worked with them, then got into another company. That company also, they had office in Mumbai, but they had a very large query in Rajasthan. So I went there as a assistant systems manager, and we were doing in-house development, basically for our in-house use, software development. So as I was saying that I was into for technical development and system administration thing. Then I got the same company. Actually, they came up with a new textile unit at another place in Rajasthan, which is very close between Delhi and Jaipur. There's a industrial area called Neemrana. So
Yes.
100% EOU unit of yarn manufacturing. So I was assigned for that unit as a consultant to implement an ERP solution for a yarn manufacturing company. So I had to move there, and that ERP implementation project went on for 2 years almost, right from understanding the requirement of a manufacturing of yarn and then evaluating various ERP systems, doing the gap analysis, finalizing the vendor, getting it customized and all that, and finally implementation and user training. This took completely 2 years. In this course of this 2 years implementation project of ERP, I got good exposure, good experience in some RDBMS progress. RDBMS at that time, it was new in India, and I got exposure. And then as a result, in fact, I got an offer for US in 1995, 96 itself. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because of that uh, sanction issue and all at that point of time. Anyway, so after that, in 1999, I took up first a role in Singapore as a consultant. I moved to Singapore as a consultant, and I was working for a company where, as a consultant, used to understand the client requirement. And in my company, they were into payroll solution and financial solutions. And I'm talking about 98, 99. So obviously at that time we didn't have so many financial tools and all these things. So consulting for a big company like Lucent Technology, Fujitsu and all, it was a big thing. So luckily I got that exposure working for big clients. So I was there in Singapore. For initially I stayed there for 3 years. I did project for one of the largest petroleum companies in the world, Exxon Mobil, and I was handling that project as a project manager with the team. And basically, we were doing the system integration for this company called ExxonMobil. Basically, before that, there were two different companies in the petroleum, so and Mobil. They both merged and they became ExxonMobil. So basically, this project was to integrate the system. So that project again went on for one more than a year, and so then I moved to once that project got over, I moved to India. I came to India, and in India I joined Reliance Petroleum. And here again I was a part of a global project management, or I would say centralized project management office as a senior project manager and doing projects for Reliance's petroleum business. So this was all IT infrastructure project. During this tenure in Reliance, almost 3 years tenure in Reliance, we built a data center in Jamnagar. We built a disaster recovery site in Bangalore for Reliance Petroleum business, and all these exposure I got. And of course, whenever we were doing some project, at times we engaged like companies like HP or Wipro. So that way, interacting with these companies, I got good exposure. And then after 3 years, after working in Reliance for 3 years, I joined another company called NCR Corporation, which is again a US based company. They are leading in financial solutions, banking solutions. You must have seen these NCR ATMs everywhere. Okay. So that company, they have office in Mumbai, and then they are also into retail business, retail technology actually. So since I worked for Reliance at that point of time in 2005 or 2006, the government came up with the new policy for automation of petroleum business, retail business. So NCR got projects for HPCL, BPCL, and also I joined NCR as a program head, and I was managing the automation project for HPCL for North India. Again, after working for 1 year, I got opportunity to move back to Singapore because I was a resident. I had got the residentship in Singapore. I moved back to Singapore and I took up a project with Shell in Singapore. And then again, lived in Singapore for another 2 years. And then in 2008, I finally got an offer with Wipro that initially they had offered me for a role in Malaysia, but due to some reasons, then they asked me to come to Bangalore, take up the role in based out of Bangalore. So finally, I decided to move to Bangalore, and I started with Wipro in February 2008. So initially, 1 year I was given in the project for Shell itself, but based out of Bangalore. After that, I have been because I was into project and program management. So from the time I was in Singapore in 2002, I got into project and program management. So then I handled different types of IT projects, including like data center and transformation project, consulting projects, and so and so. So in Wipro, they assigned me to various on-site projects, mostly in different countries. So yes, and in this course, I got to work for clients like Citibank, Exxon, Shell. I already mentioned Canada Post. I worked in Switzerland, in Zurich for Credit Suisse. And my last assignment in Wipro was for this company called Petroleum Development Oman as a consultant advisor, PMO advisor for Petroleum Development Oman. So this entire journey of 32 years, yes, of course, it was very challenging, not as easy and straightforward. A lot of ups and downs. At times, I was without a project, sitting on bench. At times, I had to move from Singapore to India or from India to somewhere else. But then the kind of experience I got. And during this period, somewhere in 2014, I was back in India in Bangalore. I also joined IIM Bangalore doing my executive MBA, executive management, and IIM 1 year program on campus program. And then sometime in 2019, like thought that later in the later part of my life, after I retired from my services, I want to do something. So at that point of time itself in 2019, I enrolled myself for my PhD. I'm doing my PhD in management, and my area is AI, AI in education, because now I'm into education sector. So I am in the final stages of my PhD. Probably I'm lagging behind by 1.5 years. I should complete it. So then it was already decided, and it was my conscious decision that I will switch to academics so that I could help the students and I could help young professionals. So after my regular services into IT sector for 32 years, in August 2023, I retired, and September first week, I joined here in Sharda University, which is one of the leading universities in North India. I am with their business school. I also additionally hold responsibility as a chairperson for industry networking, and international collaborations. So this is my entire journey. Yes, not brief, but I had to give this because that is what gives me a lot of confidence and satisfaction or accomplishment, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for taking us to your journey so far. Very prolific and very, valuable experiences. The first thing that we want to understand from you is about the PMO office, the project management office. And it was designed for control, but now the modern ones are balancing governance with agility. Your viewpoints on how the role of PMO has changed over time.
So PMO, yes, of course, it is one of my favorite areas. And as you mentioned, rightly mentioned, the objective of PMO earlier was to control the project, make sure that the projects are successfully completed and the product or services are delivered.
I see.
Now, obviously, the things have changed, and the role of a PMO is not and should not be restricted only to controlling, just defining the process and making sure that it is like being followed by everybody without any logic. Because something is being practiced going forward, also we should practice the same process. Absolutely not. We all know that IT is an enabler in any organization across any industry. IT is an enabler for the business. Now, if you are doing project, obviously you are not doing it for fun.
Yes.
You have to give value to your business, whether it is your sales department, your manufacturing department, your production, or your HR department. By doing the project, you have the PMO has to ensure that the project that is being taken up, it gives the value to the business.
Yes.
Otherwise, no one is going to come to you. Now, I will just uh, give you a little more detail about it. Like as I said, I worked for this company called Reliance. I also worked for Petroleum Development Oman, where, of course, one of the largest petroleum companies. And why I am mentioning this is because I was a part of a central PMO. Now, the challenge for these companies, or I would say the companies of this large complexity and volume, Reliance, our central PMO team, we had to manage, like, because Reliance petroleum business, when I say petroleum business of Reliance, they have both upstream and downstream business.
Yes.
They had to deliver more than 100 projects every year. It was some small projects, ranging from 3 months to 1 year, or 3 months to 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, or 1 year, or even more.
Yes.
Roughly around 100 projects every year. Similarly, I saw in PMO, PDO also. Now the challenge here is, if you define some process, some framework, and you think that this process will work for all 100, 200 projects, it is not going to work. Your PMO is going to fail. It's bound to fail. Now, so the KPIs for PMO, now you have to decide or define the PMO KPIs in a different way.
Yes.
So in PDO, when, because I was also an advisor, so this PDO, what they had done is they had a PMO in place, but one of their major projects for PDO failed. It was a large telecom project, and PDO, being a government subsidiary of Ministry of Petroleum in Government of Oman, they had to were answerable to the government. When this project failed, they had a huge embarrassment and huge financial loss. So what they did, they got they some I won't name the company. They they brought in one of the big four companies to study their as a process. They did the study, they gave a report, and they were asked to work on that, closing the gaps or improving upon the process for implementing, basically, so that there is a robust and standard process. But they somehow, I don't know what happened, they did not take up that assignment. So then PDO asked Wipro to send somebody to, and the PMO team, to advise them, look into all of that. So here what we did is, so basically, I thankfully I got selected as a PMO head and consultant. I had a team. So what we said is that, first of all, there has to be fixed criteria to understand or to define the projects of different complexities. Right? There could be some projects very simple, straightforward. If it is a GPS system, implementing a GPS system for their logistics, or it is a some small project for their well or refinery. thing. There has to be very well defined criteria for all the projects, like 100, 150 projects they get every year. And then once you see that, okay, this project falls under this criteria, then these are the processes and these are the parameters or KPIs based on which the success of the project should be measured. Now it is like not just controlling. First, you have to understand, you have to see what kind of project and what all challenges may come in this kind of a project. The challenges could be anything. So at times, yes, if with the experience, we are able to preempt or we are able to see the forthcoming issues or risks. But there are situations where we don't know something very unpredicted, some changes in the government regulation, some statutory requirement change and all that. So so the thing is that the role of PMO is now in parallel. I would say that it is a parallel role with the strategy department, and in the management we have three levels. So from tactical to strategic, it should work. The PMO is not at all, it should not work or it does not work at a operational level. It has to work in parallel with the tactical and strategic levels. So defining, first of all, having a well-defined criteria for project classification, then based on the nature or complexity of the project, you define the KPIs for the success of those projects. And also, the most important thing is that we also always recommend that there should also be KPIs for a successful PMO. That by I am giving guidelines and instructions to the people who are doing the project, but what about me? I am giving the wrong instructions. So there has to be some guidelines and KPIs for PMO itself. So PMO's role nowadays, it is way ahead and it is in parallel with the strategic management of an organization.
And what are those KPIs to talk about?
I will give you just few examples of few KPIs. For example, we generally tend to forget doing a cost benefit analysis after the project is completed. We celebrate the product or services are delivered, the project is closed, resources moved out, and some celebration, everything happens. But mostly we forget, most of the organizations, as I've seen, they forget to actually do the cost benefit analysis. Actually, there was one PMO global conference held in 2019, and I got an opportunity to present a paper on this, the cost benefit analysis techniques, how effective they are or how effective they should be. So as I was saying, companies forget to do this cost benefit analysis. Suppose an organization, they come up with a project idea, and as per the business case, they expect that, okay, this project is going to give us a revenue or a benefit of 50 million in a year. Fine, very good. They say that, okay, let us go ahead and come up with a new product. We will launch a product and so and so. The project is undertaken, everything is done, and maybe in a year the product is developed, it is launched in the market. Now, after the new product is launched in the market, did the organization actually gain a benefit of $10 million or 10 million rupees? So there is a whole methodology or tool to measure this, that your perceived value was 10 million, but yes, you have successfully delivered the project, but your benefit is somewhere like 3 million or 5 million in a year, not 10 million. So that means your business case was not correct and your PMO would not validate it. The PMO, earlier PMO will only say that, oh, okay, project has come, okay, let us define the process, go ahead and deliver and execute and deliver the project. No. So KPIs should be again like around measuring the project success, right? 3, 4 parameters: value addition, scalability of the product or services, or I mean, this is very generic terms. We cannot go into the very specific. If we take an example of a very specific type of project, then I could give you a specific KPIs. But in general, we have to see whether it has, to what extent it has met the perceived value. What are the success criteria for that product or service that you're going to deliver from the project?
Sir, can we take one example, sir, like without naming the company and all?
Yes. Okay. So one of the projects which actually I managed in, again, not naming the company, for a company, and it was a kind of setting up or implementing a GPS solution. Okay. And their entire they had a huge logistics because that company had their own manufacturing and they had a huge logistics system. So they wanted to implement a GPS system so that they could get like online, updates on their logistics movement of consignment, where exactly is on a online mode. Now in this system, they invested some few million euros, okay, few million euros, and it went on. The project was validated that this solution, this technology is going to work and all that. But in the middle of the project, uh, it was it came to our notice because we the project implementer. Our team was basically implementing it. The solution was with the client. So the client, they themselves had their solution team, architect team, and they developed the solution. They say that this is successfully tested. They asked our team to develop the code and all that and devices or whatever technology. But somewhere in the middle, after 4 5 months, we were told that this technology will not work because of some restriction from the government in that country. Now, the thing is that why this was not, validated, or if, let's say, for example, or let's say that initially they had validated and they tested and they all the feasibility they had checked and they found that it is working fine. And all of a sudden, maybe the government changed its policy.
Yes.
But then for every project we do, the investments that we make initially, we also plan that what if the project is terminated for some reason? You must be knowing you must have seen in many contract, there are clauses
Yes.
for project termination.
Yes.
If there is something, if a project is terminated because of some reason which is beyond your control, you didn't know that the government is going to change the rule or this due to some whatever their because of the environment or because of the change in their some policy. The thing is that the terms of in the contract, the terms of termination should be clearly mentioned, and usually we have like, okay, if the project has to be terminated, let's say for example, this force major, right? We put in every contract or SOW. Like for in case of natural calamity, something we can't do anything, the project will be terminated. And there are clauses where the service provider or the service buyer is not like, taking the complete, they're not getting the complete financial loss.
Yes.
It is done in such a way. So the example, I mean, I cannot give more details of it, but my point here is like, which I still remember, if the things would have been put clearly in the scope document,
Yes.
that in case of this, because there are four different types of termination, we generally put in the clause. Okay. So in there could be one situation where certain things happened which was unprecedented or unforeseen or not within our hands, that things would have been done, managed, or the clauses in the contract should have been mentioned very clearly. So then the company wouldn't have got so many $1 million of
Yes.
financial loss.
Got it, sir. Sir, we often see, CIOs struggle to prove business value for multi-dollar technology initiatives. Sir, as per you, what are the frameworks or mechanism that you have found most effective to translate IT output into measurable business outcomes?
Yes, I fully agree with your views, Rishikesh, because yes, CIOs or the VPIT or whoever is the top or key stakeholder in organization,
Yes.
see, one thing, I mean, I would like to say many people won't agree and many people may not like it. Okay. But this is a fact. Everybody in the organization wants to, have his or her own place secured and wants to show the value. Now, in pursuit of doing that, what happens is at times we, tend to inflate or, talk very high about our, output, our deliverables, or the value to the business which the IT is bringing in. We did I was managing a managed services program for a global company headquartered in US. I was based out of US, and our daily interaction was with the CIO CTO. And we had a team of almost 300 plus, majorly based out of India, and not only in India, across, I would say, in many countries, because we had taken over the entire services from their incumbent vendor and they were managing their service desk in 4 different geos: Mexico, Thailand, sorry, Philippines, Mexico, US, Spain, and all. What we found is that in every week, monthly meeting or quarterly business review,
Yeah.
and we found that the CIOs coming in the meeting, or the AVP IT coming in the meeting and putting up that, okay, this quarter we did this, so many this thing. We have improved so much in terms of incident management. We have improved so much. We have fixed we have done so much proactive problem management, so and so. At times we were like surprised. It is we, that is our team, who's doing all this. We don't know whatever we projected or we reported on a monthly basis, that was inflated, and it was given to their management, because they had to say that, oh, there's this CIO or CTO is doing very good with this team. So ye- if I answering your question, it has to be very transparent. If I am delivering, suppose I have been given a project, or I am managing a managed services of 10 million YOY service, I am not 100 or 101% perfect. Even if I am able to deliver 90% of the things successfully on time and maintaining transparency, if I am not able to deliver something, that 10%, if I am very, I would say, transparent and very sure about the challenges or the constraint, maybe internal or external, I am facing, if I am very transparent and open to tell that confidently to the management, to the CEO, CFO, CXO, CFO level persons in the organization, I don't think that anyone sitting at that level is so unreasonable that they will not understand. I'll take another 2 minutes to give you an example.
Yes.
I remember doing one project in Singapore, and for that project we were given a go live date.
Hmm.
Go live date was something like 1st of October. And it
Yes.
was that program had to be rolled out across Singapore and Malaysia. There was no way, we were told from the beginning that there is no way this go live date can be changed. So we had to work, obviously, instead of 8 hours, 10, 12 hours, whatever you have to work. And it was like engraved on the stone that go live date is 1st of October. Under any circumstances, it will not be changed. Now, after few months, we realized that we actually came to know, because this product which we had to roll out, it had to be integrated with SAP.
Yes.
Okay. Now, for 3 months, almost 3 months before October, somewhere in July, okay, we were informed through mail or something from SAP that SAP has got some global rollout. So they are not going to take this project, or they are not going to move ahead with this kind of integration and all, because they are coming with their global rollout of a new version.
Yes.
Now, this was a very genuine reason,
Yes.
and our company or our CIO, CTO, obviously, they're not in a position to influence SAP at going that, oh no, you don't roll out globally, right? So, what we did actually, that we went to the meeting, the quarterly business review meeting, 3 months before. In fact, it was not a quarterly business review, another meeting which was called. In that, we put it that as an agenda item, so that we went ahead with all that. Proper, the valid reasons, we presented it to them, and we asked for an exception approval to delay it by 1 month, and we were given that. So what I'm saying is that, in whether it is project or any services you are delivering to the customer, external customer, client, or within your organization, be transparent, be clear. If I know my subject, or if I know what project I am doing, if I know everything, I am very confident enough, I can confidently go and tell the management that, sorry, this is not possible because of XYZ reasons. If I am not doing my things diligently, I will have to go there and talk in there that, oh no, I think we cannot do it, and all that. So CIOs, CTOs, or the project heads, or whoever head of a project, or PMO, project management, or PMO, if they do the things diligently without, blowing the things, it is always good. It will work.
So also talking about all these complex transformation programs which are there within the organization, you usually see that cost overruns are very common due to unclear ownership and evolving scope. So how do you manage cost governance, benefit realization, and risk mitigation simultaneously?
Yes, cost overruns are always there, but if the deviation is up to 10%, 15%, and if it's a large scale project, it is okay, they don't mind. But what happens is in some cases, again, one of the biggest challenge which I have seen and I have experienced is in any organization, particularly I'm talking about IT integrators or IT service providers, there is some kind of disconnect between the sales pre-sales team and the delivery team.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
now we used to always joke about around it, and we say that pre-sales team sales team will go to the client during before getting the project. They'll say that okay, we will give you moon, we will give you so many stars without consulting the person who has to actually deliver,
Mm,
even at the VP level, VP of delivery and VP of marketing, sorry, VP of sales or pre-sales,
mm,
they're they are not aligned. And
mm,
we have experienced it. They say that oh, we will give this 24/7 support, our service desk in all the regions. Yes, yes, only these many manpower, they will put it in their RLS, in their scope document and all.
mm,
Whereas we know that if you calculate the installation time of a Windows or a Linux on this, and you have to do that, for example, I'm saying a very generic example, if you have to the rollout or you have to install the new version of Linux on
mm.
5,000 machines, you simply first calculate the timing, no? How can you say that I can give you within 3 weeks? So the thing is that cost overrun, sometimes it happens because the scope is not been mentioned clearly, or even if it is mentioned, this pre-sales team or sales team
Mm,
to get the contract, they say,
mm.
okay, fine, we will bring it down to this. Whereas they don't realize that actually this is a challenge because this we need the delivery team needs more resources, they need more time. So first thing is that during our what happens in Wipro or I guess in all the companies, it is like when a contract is, once a contract is secured, there is a validation phase where quality team is also involved and all that. So during that period we do a very thorough check of each and every cost items. So there we have to put a control. We say that sales team committed that okay, fine, we will provide this service, this management at this cost. We have to see that whether it is really feasible or not. If there is anything extra required at that point of time, we will say, or we
Yes.
will raise a request for a additional funding at that point of time. Now coming to quality and managing the quality also with the cost,
Yeah.
the thing is that for every, like in our projects, like if I talk about a managed services project, we had different project managers or multiple project or program managers for different services. In a managed services, we used to have like infrastructure support also, we used to have application support also, we used to have application development also. So we had people handling each of these portfolios. So in each of this to basically to ensure the quality of each of these portfolio, the delivery of services in each of these portfolio, a quality person, and we had a quality person from the central team who used to manage or oversee that quality, all the quality aspects. Okay, so managing or controlling the cost overrun, it has to start from the beginning. And as I said, cost benefit, when you're doing the cost benefit analysis actually that will come at the end. That will come at the end when you have already delivered your project or delivered your product or services from the project. The cost benefit analysis will come at the end. Before that, we have various methods to we call it as a earned value analysis, right? Schedule variance or cost variance or schedule price in SPI, CPI, and all that. I have hardly seen many people using any of these methods
Mm,
throughout the project. It should be like we do, like create monthly report. In those monthly reports at a month, I would say that on a monthly basis, this techniques on value analysis should be done to see where do we stand today, whether we have got this budget of 10 million, we are only at 50% and we have exhausted 80% of the budget, because they don't do that. We don't review mostly. I have seen in many projects, many organizations. So these things again should be defined by the PMO. If a PMO of an organization where they have to handle like 50, 60 or 100 projects every year.
And sir, when we talk about delivering IT services to diverse geographies, global standards often, kind of clash with local realities. So how do you balance all these ITIL based standardization and country specific customization?
In this situation, what I mean with respect to this, that we have to deliver a service across geos. Now, as you said, if it is ITL process, for example, incident management, problem management, change management, these are standard. There are standard processes as per ITL practice. But in many, I have seen in different countries, different geos, because the work culture is different, the working, I would say, the process is also different. It is very difficult to follow a standard practice or standard process. I'll give you an example. Now, in India, we work like mostly we all are, I mean, we are known all over the world that our Indians can work 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours. Okay. Now, suppose in an organization, we have some incident, we have some issue, technical issue, and to fix that issue, we need to bring in a change and we had to invoke a change management process. Now, the changes are usually for that if there is a suppose there is a major incident and because of which the entire business has come down. Let's say it's a bank and a bank application has failed and this change has to be implemented right now. Otherwise, the bank, any public sector or private sector bank in India, it has come to a standstill. We have to implement the change right now. Only then this issue will be resolved. So here what will happen? We will run around and we have a process for getting the change approved. We will do anything. I have seen the tech team running from one office to another office to get approval on the formal change request. Okay.
Yes.
And also at night, because I have also handled some managed services project as a delivery head. When the change had to be implemented at night, we were awake at night, right? We had to, be there during the change implementation to ensure that the change is implemented within the approved change window. But on the other hand, and this is my experience, I was working for a leading bank in Switzerland. My team was there at on-site and in India. And a change, if we had to implement a change, which usually we do during off business hours or we do during the weekends, and there is outage notification or notification is sent out and all. But in case of if it is a planned change, then yes, we can get an approval. They had a process that, oh, you have to, if you are going to implement a change on Saturday or Sunday, you
Yes.
have to get your change request approved by Thursday.
Yes.
But many times it is not possible if it is an emergency change. Now, the problem that we faced is that on Friday evening, the head of that services, Friday evening went out of Switzerland, he went for skiing and he is not contactable. Now, we could not reach and we could not get the approval on that change. So, obviously, we could not implement the change and that issue could not get resolved till Monday and it was escalated in our company to the highest level, whereas it was not our fault. Okay. So, answering to your question, the strategy should be that yes, you define. Obviously, we have to take the standard practice if we are talking about project management or PMO. Now, by the way, just for your information, now PMO has also come under PMI. You may not be knowing this. It's a very recent development, last 6 months or so, because for PMO, there was a separate entity called PMO
Yes.
Global Alliance.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I was a judging committee member for the PMO Global Alliance. 6 months back, it is now merged with PMI. Okay. So, anyway, that was just for information. So, what I'm saying is that if it is a project, you define your strategy, your process at the global, your like corporate level. Okay. If it is ITIL service related strategies or processes, you define at your corporate level. But to make it work effectively, I think it should be like implementation or execution of the process should be at a geo level, which means you give that liberty to the respective geos so that they can slightly modify or tweak the processes to see that yes, they should ensure that there is no violation, there is no breach of data, so and so, but then some flexibility.
Yes.
You're getting my point. Like the example which I said, gave you about that company. Now, in this case, there was no flexibility. No, this is the person who is going to approve the change. If there was some kind of flexibility built in that implementation, we
Yes.
would have. So this was a good learning for us, for me. So this is something like, so you have your processes, yes, standardize your process at a corporate level, at a one particular, maybe, you're headquartered in US, Canada, or somewhere, but you have to get it, you have to basically ensure that it works.
Hmm.
You don't make processes and all just for the sake of it. Oh, I have a very, uh, standard and very rigid process. The
Hmm.
process has to work to get the business value.
So thank you so much. Like at the last of this podcast, I have a question for you is that what is the new definition of CIO or program director in the modern era?
I would say, and because as a program director, the last role I handled in Wipro, I was a program director and I had a team of around 300 engineers and MBAs.
Yes.
And I would not name the client that was here based in, my last assignment was here in India for Wipro. So I would say that my role was, one thing I learned over the years was that I cannot manage or deliver a large scale program while sitting on this kind of an executive chair. You must have heard and you have been interacting with various CXO level people, and you must have come across this, that now empathy and emotional intelligence is something which is highly, I would say it's the topmost intrapersonal skill that is required, whether it is a program director, whether it is a CIO or CTO of an organization. Okay,
Yes.
your technical skills, everything is, yes, they are required. Another side, but first thing is that you need to be able to get your people work for you.
Yes.
I have many such instances, many such cases where contractually we were not obliged to do certain things. My client asked for something which was beyond
Yes.
my SOW. For example, as per the contract, we had to deliver, we means me and my team had to deliver 20 changes, maximum 20 changes in a month,
Yes.
and small changes or a major change also. But in the contract it was clearly mentioned not more than 20 changes in a month. If any more than 20 changes are requested, change requests come from the customer, we will charge. Okay, but there was a situation where the services head of my client organization had put down his papers, he had to leave, he was in a notice period, and he requested me, he personally called me and he said, Shashank, can you do something? And let me tell you, I was not in a position to tell my team members to
Yes.
work for extra hours or do something and sit at night and do all these things. But because of my, rapport with the team, I used to go and play cricket with them and used to have lunch with them. So there was a time when I just called them for a discussion, for a meeting. I said, guys, what should we do? And I was so happy, and I felt so fortunate. All the people who came, all the team leads, whether who came, who said, no, let us do it. Because we have been working for the client for more than 5 years. We had a renewed contract with them. So they all agreed. So it was just because of a personal connects, that the touch that we have with the team members. And nowadays, another important thing, I would say, the important aspect that any CTO or CIO or CXO or program director should keep in mind always is that, see, I have my own philosophy, my own thinking is that there is a negative and positive side of each and every individual. Now, as a manager, as a leader, I should be able to take out that 1%, even if a person has 99% drawbacks or negative side, even that 1%, and make that 1% work for him or work for the project or for the team. And I
Yes.
have seen this, I have practiced this also to some extent. And just to, again, slightly digressing from your question, I have also authored few books.
Yes.
Okay. And one of my book is titled as Pygmalion Effect.
Yes.
A Pygmalion effect is all about employee motivation.
Hmm.
Okay, it is available on Amazon. Okay, I'm not trying to sell it. I would
Fine.
love to hand it over to you. If we
Yes.
happen to meet sometime, I'll
Sure.
give it
Sure.
for free. Basically, that book is about employee motivation, and Pygmalion effect is a very old research done in 60s in somewhere in California in one of the schools. And we learned that this particular theory in my HR class in IIM, in our executive management program. And they said that the faculty said this theory is now very well used and can be used in corporates also. But unfortunately, it is not being used. We as a manager, we expect our team members to do everything, but we generally tend to forget and give a small recognition and a word of appreciation. Unfortunately, there are some managers, they believe in or they're very efficient and very proactive in sending out a mail that we have done this successfully so that the credit comes to him and
Yeah.
his team members later. Okay.
Yes.
So these things are very important at whatever level you are working. You cannot deliver, you cannot be successful without your team, right? And we all love sports, and there's no, I mean, obviously, direct analogy we can take whether it is Indian cricket team or it is football team or a hockey team. So the role of the PMO or the PMO director or CXO, CTO or CIO, now the things have completely changed. Your technical skills, yes, the kind of experience I have, I feel very confident if someone comes out of like 300 member team, anyone comes with a difficult question also, and then if I am able to answer his or her question, or I am able to resolve his query, obviously he will feel confident, he will feel happy, and then he will have more trust on me. So
Yes.
my those skills are very much required. It's not that it's not, but these human factors, human skills are very much required in the completely changed scenario.
Absolutely, sir. Empathy goes a long way.
Yes, absolutely. Because people have got many options today.
Yes.
Though we hear, we every day we see that okay, this company laid off 10,000 and 1,000, but for skilled people, there is
There's
always a job. There is
Yes.
always a job available. There are various other reasons because of which I cannot every day or every month
Yes.
go for a change. There are various other factors.
Yes.
But for skilled people, there is always an opportunity. That is what I feel.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Very insightful conversation. And again, we are
Thank
grateful
you.
that you took out time to share your insights with our audience.
Rishikesh,